Entrepreneurship case presentation, proudly presented by the Government of Saskatchewan Ministry of the Economy. First, I want to introduce and thank our judges. Brian Dilling from the Government of Saskatchewan Ministry of the Economy, Nathan Elliott from Inside West, Sean Kelly from EMCO, Brian Langan from the Richard Ivey School of Business, Jacob Pope from Aspen Medical Canada, and Krista Watson from the Government of Saskatchewan Ministry of the Economy. The competitors will have 23 minutes maximum to present. I will show time cards at various intervals to indicate the remaining time and will stop any speaker who exceeds the maximum time limit. There are no questions, comments, cell phones, or picture taking permitted by the audience. The audience is only permitted to applaud at the conclusion of the presentation. The audience members are also banned from any material that bears the name or symbol of a competing university. And we also ask that at the conclusion of the presentation, the audience exits immediately following that to allow our judges some time to deliberate. Competitors immediately.
Saskatchewan is in an economic boom. Resources such as potash, coal, uranium are trading at a global level, at a global scale. Saskatchewan couldn't be any more happier that the global focus is now on Canada's province that is the hardest to pronounce but the easiest to draw. Saskatchewan residents in the Ministry of the Economy can fear the worst nightmare is to lose the economic opportunity to a preventable cause. This is to make sure that will not happen. My name is Robbie, and with me are my colleagues Andrew and Renee, and this is Dreamcatcher.
So a little bit about the opportunity that we're looking at. So like Robbie mentioned, Saskatchewan is booming and mining industry is growing rapidly. New mines are being created and old mines are expanding. Mines are always looking for partnerships with the First Nations as a lot of mines are forming on their land. And overall, the turnover rate in the mining industry is very high, and we are here to try and stop that.
The opportunity for you today is Dreamcatcher. The basic idea of Dreamcatcher is that you're an HR recruitment firm, but the way you're going to be better than everyone else in Saskatchewan is that you're going to differentiate yourself by focusing on First Nations. We'll take a quick look at the way it's just going to work. You are going to have mines, say Jansen, just as an example, coming to us. We put you as us because we want to be there with you the whole way. So us, and then you are going to go to reserves and employ managers. You're going to find motivated people who do want to make a little bit more money, are highly motivated, and show leadership skills. Then those managers, you're going to put the responsibility on them for them to hire employees, the average team of about 6. So just really quickly to sum it up, there's yourself. Mines are going to come to you. You're going to have your own employees. You're going to hire these managers who are then in charge of the HR for their own employees. The way this works is that Aboriginals want to work for other Aboriginals. So the employees, as you see, are going to work for the managers, but the managers will be working for us, and those will be Aboriginals. But we're hoping to find more forward-focused individuals who are willing to work with us, willing to work with yourself for Dreamcatcher. The way that you're going to make money is you're going to earn just a basic salary on all the commissions earned, and you will be giving the managers a bonus of $20, just as a rough approximate, $20 per employee per day that they employ and go work at the mine. And then the customer, of course, will be the mining companies.
Quick value proposition. The value for the mine is that you're finding and recruiting employees for them. That decreases the Saskatchewan labor shortage, that increases First Nation employment, and that provides transportation to off-site employees. The value proposition to the manager is the managerial opportunity of being that community leader within the First Nations community. They can have their own team and they can provide their own entrepreneurial opportunities right there. And their employees that manage a relationship, that personal cultural connection with, again, working with an Aboriginal leader in their community and being able to form that community of working together.
Dreamcatcher wouldn't be Dreamcatcher if it wasn't for the people who are in the company, yourself, who will be running it. You will be starting off as the sole employee of the company. You will be in charge of course, all the administrative duties, which we believe you're capable with, especially with these new entrepreneurial classes, as well as the education required for this duty. It's not going to be too significant. If you have people skills, which we believe that you do, this will be the ideal job for you to start as well because it has low capital. So that's why you're going to be the main person in charge of all the main duties, the administrative duties. Then your next step, you'll have to, of course, approach the mines, get those contracts that the mine's going to come to you, you'll be doing the marketing, and then you'll also be the manager recruiter, meaning that you will be going to the reserves yourself and then hiring the managers who will then hire their employees. If you need, we have included an HR manager that you will employ later on in the future if you need. If you find that you're expanding too quick, things like that. And so you want to find a specialist who is able to find the right talent, because that's what you will be doing up until they are hired. And then they will take over the manager recruitment as well as the mine relationships, but you will still be in charge of the administrative duties and everything else that comes along with being an entrepreneur. The ideal money that you need to start up, we expect, or we're hoping that you will be able to get a loan or maybe a grant from the Ministry of Economy. We will be supporting the Saskatchewan economy as well as Aboriginals within Saskatchewan. We aren't sure which deal you will be able to get yet, whether it's a loan or a grant, but you will be needing $125,000 to $150,000, and that will be covering your basic cash flows and the basic startup costs of traveling, going to these reserves, as well as the other startup costs associated with starting out Dreamcatcher.
So who are we targeting? First of all, we're targeting Saskatchewan. We want to focus on mines within Saskatchewan that are looking for workers and do need extra help on the mines. Secondly, we are focusing on the Jansen mine to start. We don't want to blow this out of proportion and start talking to too many mines at once, but we will focus on the Jansen mine and further in the future look into other industries such as construction, farming, places that people need help and that these Aboriginal workers are interested at working in.
Are these temporary laborers? Are they full-time laborers?
These will be full-time laborers.
So how are they employees of the manager if they're working full-time for the mine? I don't get that connection.
The idea here is that we want these Aboriginals to feel really comfortable in their job, really comfortable with the manager that is overlooking them. So they're working with their friends, they're doing jobs that they are interested in, the person training them is someone that they can trust, that they can relate to. So what is the cash flow structure of this would be that the Jansen mine is paying us to find their employees. So we are their recruitment manager for this Jansen mine, say. And then we will pay the manager and those workers their salaries. We want to make sure that these workers show up to work on time, they are trained properly, and we just want to ensure Jansen that this will happen.
So you're paying benefits, they're working for you.
They are working for us. Essentially, Jansen Mine, what it does is it simplifies them. Normally, they'd be hiring different people, and they're never sure whether they're going to come into work or not. And that's the essential idea of our business, is that we guarantee that those employees come. If Jansen Mine needs 40 employees, we will make sure that there are 40 employees there when they need them. Just as one additional feature, the manager, their goal is to motivate and get those employees there. What they may want to do is have an extra 1 or 2 employees just in case one of the employees backs out, and then that extra 1 or 2 on-call employee, if we call it, they can step up and then they can fill in that spot. So that way they're always guaranteed to have that. And the main advantage of it is that we are reducing the cost of HR for these large mines. If an average employee makes $60,000 in a year and the cost to acquire a new employee or training or loss, it's going to be more significant than the commission that we are going to be charging on top of their regular salaries. So if we just jump to finance, we'll just take a look. The important point is to focus on the employee salary. That will be, if these employees were hired directly by the mine, they would be making, say, in the first year, $450,000. But because we have to make a 10% commission on that, we're going to be charging the mine actually $495,000. So it's an additional premium of on top of what they would normally be paying. But the advantage is the savings. That additional cost is going to be less than the cost that they would normally be incurring from recruiting and hiring and maintaining their employment force. And then, yeah, we'll just jump out of there.
I have a quick question.
Yep.
You are then going to go and say to Jansen Mines, as an example, we want a labor hire contract with you. That's going to be, say, 20% of your labor force or something, whatever number you're going to try and get to. And then your job is to make sure you fill those as they require.
Exactly.
So the employees that are coming to work for you, or however, so you're the labor hire company, you're then going to provide certain qualifications to a certain list. And so they're going to say, we're digging a hole over here, we need you to help.
Absolutely. For the first year, we are starting with general laborers. So that is for very low skill. So they can be applied to many different facets of the mine. So for exactly what you just said, we will be providing.
So they're labor hire. So what kind of contract, is there a precedent for that in Saskatchewan?
There is a precedent
labor hire?
for general labor practitioners,
Yeah.
and for also First Nation employment. There's a shortage, to say.
So that part of it is a precedent for the thing you're doing now is creating almost a network marketing salary, so you can create a team who goes out and does it. So I'm a supervisor, my job is to recruit and train 5, 10 people that are then available for that pool. Am I tracking this right?
The manager as well will be an employee. We're looking for another employee, just someone who is more motivated to make additional money, as well as who are motivated and are on time consistently. So this employee, who will be the manager, will also be a person who is going to work at the mine anyways. It kind of works on like the buddy system, where if someone else is going to do it, if you see someone else doing it, they're going to want to do it as well. So this manager, if he takes on the team, he's going to provide them transportation to get to the mine every day. He's going to be the motivation, saying, hey, come, do your job or whatever it requires, and he's going to be responsible for ensuring that those people get there. So it's both the recruitment as well as the employment sustained for the company.
So a lot of these mega mine sites are made up of subcontractors and the rails, whether it's pipe fit, whether it's a weld or sheet metal, that sort of thing. So is the proposition that you will have people in place that have an understanding of each of those industries that in turn can hire, understand insurance, all that sort of thing, and that you'll be providing First Nations labor in each of those component parts?
That is the dream. Unfortunately, we do want to start small, unfortunately, and build up. So again, year 4, 5, 6, that is when we can start specializing in those trades. But for right now, we do want to start small, make sure that this thing can get off the ground, and then in the future, those are definitely considerations. But right now, it's general labor.
What is a general labor on site?
So those are laborers that don't require any formal school or training. So instead of being a journeyman or first classman, second classman, those are workers that can basically strap up, take their CPR first aid, H2S, and head out to the mine site.
How are you going to work in competition with the unions for collective agreements and other things? How are unions going to view this mindset? So I'm a union head, I say, hey, we would like to offer all those jobs. Why are you having casual laborers going to do something that we should be able to do? This is a really important negotiation point.
The focus here is that we want to provide the Aboriginals with an opportunity to work. A lot of the times they aren't seen for the qualities they have because they haven't been given these opportunities. And
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I'm just wondering how unions then view jobs being allocated outside of their collective agreement is all I'm saying, unless they're not under a collective.
Right, so then a collective agreement would have to be dealt with in mind, but these would be, say for example, jobs and employment opportunities that weren't necessarily outlined in those in the labor service. So what we do is offer those jobs that necessarily aren't showcased. A lot of those union jobs are for the journeymen, the positions that do require those secondary school positions, post-secondary, but we do provide that initial stuff for these people.
I just have a question on training. I know that when you're starting off talking about skilled labor, not skilled, general labor, however that will provide, that will need training as well. Can you talk to that? And then in the future, when you get into the more skilled training, how do you propose to provide that training for people, see if they want to have that or is that an option?
The training is all provided by the Jansen Mine. Their employment is basically the same as any other worker on the line. So if they require training, they'll get the training. The payment structure is through us because we'd be providing that job opportunity. If they did want to explore those secondary opportunities to get those certifications, classifications, and whatnot, then we would be able to provide with our database and our relations with the mine the best schools for them at the most affordable prices and be able to bridge that gap.
So essentially what's happening is Jansen is paying you what they would pay any other worker, correct?
Or with a premium,
With
a
the
commission on the premium. The reason that they are going to pay more than just that any other workers, because we are going to guarantee them an amount, so they won't have to be paying to acquire these employees. The training that comes along with getting a new employee, or as well as the retention rate, making sure that these employees we provide them a guaranteed number of employees.
Okay. And they do that because of the flexibility, right? Because it's outside of their collective agreement. These guys, if they're going to scale down. Am I understanding this right? They scale down, they can then say, we don't want these folks coming. Because every single week or every month they're going to do the schedule how many they anticipate.
Yeah.
Then they go, as it scales down, they can scale you. So are you a little bit exposed then to kind of the boom and bust cycle?
The blue bus cycle, yes, we are exposed to those fluctuations. Again, if it isn't an expansion, then we do have those 2 on-call people who will be able to step up and join.
And basically, the employees won't get the call. So
Exactly.
they'll hopefully get the call, but they won't get the call.
Exactly.
So just for numbers for the first year, the average manager will be having 7 employees underneath them. That's just the rough average number. And then so the first year, we're just expecting one manager to have the 7 people. That will be the first demonstration for you to see how the program works, whether the managers are capable of ensuring that these people are there on time, as well as to see the interest in the mine. And then the growth is very modest after that.
So you only see 7 employees the first year?
1 manager, 7 employees. It's all we expect is 1 manager to go to multiple reserves. You just need to get 1 manager with 7 employees. The goal is not to expand and expect it to be great the first year. The goal is to see if there's a need for it, and that the business model does work. The structure of you employing the manager and the manager getting everyone there on time. And so the wages, your wage will be $50,000 the first year. Everyone would like more money, but the entrepreneur, you got to make sure that you keep your money invested in the business. And then if you do hire that HR manager, you will need an additional $80,000 just as a rough estimate. And then the way the team leaders will work is they will make $60,000, just that would be their normal wage if they were going to work for the company normally. But then because they are taking on the manager responsibility, the team leader responsibility of getting these other employees come, they're going to make an additional $20 per person per day, and that will be their incentive. Sorry?
Is that $80,000 included in the employee salaries from the last?
That's included in the executive salary. You won't be employing, because you will only have 1 manager the first year, you won't actually have to employ the HR specialist until you do the second year.
But Deborah is included in that 450?
Not in the very first year, because again, it's only 1 employee. We're expecting that it's going to be less of a significant time commitment in the first year. You will just be making lots of calls to the mines and going to the reserves. It's difficult to make a salary when you haven't made much money in the first year. So it's more of just a sampling, getting out there.
Okay, so as Deborah, we're essentially sweat equity. We're just
Exactly.
working for.
Exactly.
Okay.
And this is kind of a beyond profits model because the margins are so thin. I mean, you've got a $6.9 million revenue in year 5 and $169,000.
I like to think of it as conservative.
Yeah.
The employee managers, the manager of only having 1 in the first year is very, very modest, and then only having 4 more in the second year. That's a total of only 20 employees underneath your belt. Most mines will require significantly more than that. So the margins are very small so far, and that's making 10% on top of what the employee salaries would be.
The industry range with the target between 20 and 75% average employment, depending on where you are in the province and what have you. Those numbers are quite lofty, and that's a good thing. I guess my question is this: do you plan to employ cross-cultural awareness people as those managers, so they understand how to go into communities and speak to these business opportunities? What's the strategy there?
The strategy of employing these strong leaders within the community are to go and make sure that they do have these qualifications that do empower them, those persuasive and those people who do have, that people skill ability that can really drag you in and make sure that you stay on their team. This incentive is just the quantitative financial incentive, but the quality incentive is being able to be that community leader, being known as that person who can add a little air to the tire, so to speak.
So just kind of adding on to that, do you have anything built in, say you need to provide extra little boots or perhaps, like some of the equipment, maybe we need more jackets, some people that might not have that.
Right.
Yeah.
In the salaries, we just had a general salary of how much they would normally be making. That's going to include all their CPP and IE and other stuff like that, and then certainly from the salary, it could be from there. We also had soft costs for the number of, if people included in financials, in case people did need those additional things. And as we mentioned, we will be supplying the transportation, so that's another thing that usually limits people from getting these jobs. So yeah. So the investors, for yourself, there's different places where you can go get investments, where it's, $150,000 is to cover the losses, the cash flow losses for the first couple of years. And so they're in order of perhaps the order that you should go and approach and try and get these loans or grants. The first would be the Ministry of Economy. This is a great thing for Saskatchewan to be meeting those targets of the 25% is the rigid target, but then the goal, the internal goal is 75%, and they're going to be a strong supporter of this. So whatever you can get from them, if you can get the asking amount of 150, the amount that you'll need, or else you could even have a lower amount. And
Any documents there, or do you have any programs in mind that you're targeting?
there were like Aboriginal Economic Development Corporation, just different. We didn't have any specific opportunities available. We Ministry of Economy, general grants or general new business loans would be the focus, or else if there is an Aboriginal orientated one, go with that for sure. And then the bank or investors, of course, as last options, either taking out a loan or giving out a percentage of the company. The advantage of if you do go with an investor is you can, if they have a specialty and a skill that you also need, perhaps, or an HR specialist, or they have relationships with other mines or something like that, you can also take on that.
So just to expand, we have set out an implementation plan. We want to make sure that you do follow the right steps in order to make this company succeed. We don't want any huge capital bought or any big risks taken right at the beginning of the company and then it fails and you lose a bunch of money. So we have set out proper steps for you to take to make sure that this company is successful for you.
The opportunity is definitely there. As Robbie said, the mines and the blue-collar industry is significantly growing in Saskatchewan and set to for the indefinite future. So the opportunity is there as well. The skill required to start this business is not significant. If you have people skills, you should be well on your way to start it and be successful. And if you don't have those skills, that's why you can hire the HR leader. Another advantage is it has low capital cost to start off. And then as we mentioned, or you saw, by year 4 or year 5, you will be having positive revenue, positive cash flows.
Absolutely. This is something that Saskatchewan needs, creating that opportunity to reach a precipice in Aboriginal economic development is something that was much needed for years in the past and will be much needed for years in the future. Saskatchewan is expected to expand all the way into 2025 with opportunities bigger than the eye can see. And so with Dreamcatcher, this is a plan that can capitalize on those opportunities, bridge those gaps, and make sure that we do have the labor force that is needed to sustain this growth. We thank you for your time.